And so about Venerable, we're very fortunate to have Venerable today. And as you all heard, that she came here on very short notice, and she's dialing into Zoom from Bali. And so we're very thankful for Venerable to make time for us in her busy schedule to do this talk. So Venerable Aileen is also known as Thubten Chotso. She's been a Buddhist nun for over 20 years and has dedicated her life to sharing the Dharma. She has worked closely with renowned teachers such as Jetsunma, Tenzin Palmo, and Venerable Robina Courtin, bringing the wisdom of meditation to diverse settings, including Dharma centers, community groups, prisons, the corporate world, and academic institutions. So a whole bunch of different places. Her meditation practice is deeply rooted in the teachings of Mingyur Rinpoche and Tsoknyi Rinpoche. I hope I'm
Well,
pronouncing that correctly. Sorry, what was that?
I said, well done. You
Oh,
got
thank you. I was practicing in the car. And she continues to deepen her experience through regular solidarity and group retreats. Tonight, she will guide us through an exploring foundational questions such as meditation. Why do we come to meditation? How does it benefit us? And how do we show up in the world? Are we becoming more sincere, kind, loving, and honest with ourselves and others? And perhaps more importantly, can we be okay with not being okay? And so today's structure will follow roughly a quick meditation by Venerable, and then a bit of a talk and Q&A where you can ask your questions. And then again, we'll move into more of a guided meditation, and then we'll repeat the same process again. And then we'll open up the floor for Q&As at the end for any last questions. And then we'll close off with the dedication of merits, if that's okay, Venerable.
Thanks, Richard.
Okay, fantastic. And without further ado, let's warmly welcome Venerable Aileen Barry. And Venerable, thank you again for being with us with this time. We really appreciate it.
You. So lovely to see you all. I'd like to know where you're joining from. And as Richard said, if anybody who doesn't have the camera on, even if you just want to turn it on for just a quick hello, that would be lovely, but no worries if not. But yeah, if you just want to type in the chat where you're joining us from. And then another question to begin with, if you're completely new to meditation, or if I mean, some of you I know, I recognize some of you, but just to let us know a little bit about whether you're completely new, whether you've got some practice happening. And if you don't want to make that public, you can just type it to me and I'll read it out, okay? Yeah, okay. And I'm just reading Jen saying, a beginner meditator. Let me point out that we're all beginners. I mean, genuinely, you know, there's that lovely quote from Zen Roshi, I think. What is it? In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. So, yeah, beginner's mind is really important, that we can maintain that openness. So we have, oh my goodness, the whole world here. That's lovely. Sydney, Southern Highlands, Gloucester. Hello, Susan. Gillian is in Gosford. Mel, hello to you, Mel. Geelong. Hannah in London. Hi. Nikki in Mudgee. Hello to you. Simran in Jogjakarta. The next island along, is it Simran from here? Yeah. Southwest Sydney on Daruglands. Gillian Perrett, but still a beginner. Well done, Gillian. Stay a beginner. Helena from Wollongong. Suvavat from Sydney. Nice. Victoria. So as Richard said also, I mean, I really would love to hear your questions, because that will help to guide where we can take this evening. So if there's anything that you're, you know, that you're working with in your own lives, in your practice, in your emotional life, in your relationships, in your work, anything, be lovely to hear from you. And you can either type it into everyone or just send it to me. All's fine. And in Parramatta, I'm not sure, in the Meta Centre, hello to whoever is in there. I'm hearing that it's a big lecture hall with a few people. Okay.
Here we go.
Hold on. Hi there. Nice to see you. So you have to be in the front row because there's only one row. Okay. So as you know, I'm in Bali, and Bali is actually a really important place in the Buddhist tradition. And forgive me if I've got the century wrong, but it's a place where Atisha Dipankara, who was an Indian scholar, he came here. I think he was 11th century. If anybody knows and can correct me, please do. Very famous and important teacher in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. He came here to receive teachings on bodhicitta with Sir Lingpa. And, you know, travel back in the day was very, very difficult. And bodhicitta is a term that refers to altruism, the mind. And when I say mind, putting our hand here, our heart mind, it's the teachings on altruism. So we just recently had a retreat here, and for anybody who's been to Bali, it's such an exquisite place. I mean, you know, of course, many people come here for holidays for very good reason. And absolutely at its core, I think, is this sacredness. And like in all of the beauty, there's this the motivation behind all of it, behind all of the aesthetic beauty, behind is an offering. Offering is integral to every day. The days begin here with making offerings to both the I mean, I might, please forgive me, this is quite a rudimentary understanding, but offering to both the good and the bad spirits to maintain balance. So everywhere you look, you see these, you see offerings, you see them put out on the pavement, put outside temples, outside houses, all the hotels, everywhere. It's all just being offered, offered, offered. And so to become part of that, to really experience it all around you, it very naturally helps to open your heart, and to just become more aware that that everything that we do impacts not just on those that we see, but also those that we don't see, not just those that we like, but also those that we don't like, and those that we divide our world up into friends, enemies, and strangers. And again, from a Buddhist perspective, these terms, I mean, it's not to say, they're very specific in the sense of connecting to I like, I don't like, and I don't care. And that's not to say, I mean, a friend from a virtuous perspective, from that recognition of our interconnection, of course, is a very precious, important, valuable asset. And this is something that we strive to cultivate limitlessly, to recognize that we have that heart connection with all other beings. But at the moment, as we, you know, live in a limited understanding of our reality, we tend to we divide just by consequence of our ignorance of our limitations. We divide our world up into I like, I don't like, I don't care, and kind of 95% of our interactions with others it falls into the I don't care category. How many people we walk past every day, we just don't see them. So all of our meditation practice really is about first of all recognizing those limitations, recognizing that essential confusion, ignorance, and just as I've said, being okay with not being okay, seeing where we're at, but seeing it with the very open, spacious, kind, loving attention. And as we cultivate that relationship with ourselves, with the parts of ourselves that we have divided up into friend, enemy, stranger, then as we're willing and courageous enough to just be with that, it can very naturally start to open up to include all of this as well. Slowly, slowly, slowly. So as Richard said, we will start with a practice. Thank you, Jen. Yes, the 11th century for Atisha. One other quote from Atisha before we start was he was very he did a lot of teachings on what's called mind training, Lojong practice, transforming our minds. And again, this requires us to be very transparent with ourselves, very honest with ourselves about you know, the limitations that arise, our jealousy, our anger, our fear, our depression, all of these. And in Lojong, this practice of it's like going to the gym, yeah, that you're working directly with these negativities that arise. And Atisha was asked, so he sort of brought the teachings back into a very grounded, practical, direct application with our lives, with our everyday lives. You know, Buddhist practice at the time in Tibet was sort of shooting off in all directions, and very much about you know, the kind of the magical powers and the yeah, it was starting to degenerate and just, I mean, not that much has changed when we look at, you know, what tends to happen with all of our, I was speaking with Richard before you all came in, and it's just very hard for us to actually practice. We get involved in the institutions, we get involved in being part of a group, and all of that's really valid. But the real work is about turning again towards ourselves with some genuine, very honest appraisal of where we're at. So Atisha was, when he was asked, you know, what are the siddhis, what are the signs of progress in practice? Like, is it walking in the air, floating in magical, you know, all of this stuff? And he said, no. He said the real siddhis are the lessening of our attachment, the lessening of our anger. So slowly over time, if we want to see if we're making progress in our practice, it might be, and this has to be a very long-term project, really long-term, but with a patience and a confidence. The confidence is really important, that we trust our practice, no matter what it looks like, that we trust it, that we trust our innate goodness. So yeah, Atisha was saying, you know, the lessening of our anger, jealousy, etc., etc. And it might be, you know, after years of practice that you just notice, oh, I didn't lose it. You know, when there was, I experienced this a few weeks ago in Delhi airport. How am I performing when I hit a big queue in Delhi airport? How is my spiritual practice showing up there? It's a little progress, little progress. And actually, one of the ways it progressed, and this was kind of gorgeous, was that after an hour and a half of going through various queues, I then hit one queue too many. And this was the queue for the Wi-Fi password, where the machine prints out the coupon and gives you the code. And the code that I got printed for me after 2 failed attempts in the queue came back as an invalid code. And I was kind of losing it. And then I looked up and there was this beautiful young Indian man standing in front of me. And he was so full of joy, genuinely joy and openness. And he said, "Did you get an invalid coupon?" I said, "Yeah, I did." And he went, "Me too." And like, he looked like it was the most fantastic thing that had happened to him. And then he waved his hand and he pointed and he said, "Everybody else did as well. We all got invalid coupons." And the other day when I was ringing Air India to change my flights, 10 phone calls, and I kept seeing his face in front of me as I was making the calls, going from call 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. And I could take refuge in him. I could take refuge in his joy and his openness. So honestly, you know, where our practice shows up, it's not always internal. You'll be blessed with the external reflections as well. That will show you could do this differently. Why not? So all of that said, let's do a little practice. So is there anybody here who's completely new, who's never sat down if so, just let me know, and I will go through just a very quick preliminary on that. And you can let me know personally on the. Okay, so just checking that you're sitting comfortably. And bringing your attention into the room that you're in. Letting go of plans for the future. Letting go of thoughts of the past. They'll come, they'll go, but just, you know, when we notice that they're coming up, or commentary on what's happening now, as we notice that, then just let it go without judging it. Just simply let it go. And as we begin the practice too, and our time here together, I've been talking about bodhicitta. This is the altruism, the open heart that's really recognizing. It has a wisdom aspect to it. It's recognizing just naturally that we are interconnected. And so as we come together with this wish to understand our own minds, meditation means to become familiar. It's a verb. It's a very active process of looking at our internal world. So as we do this practice for ourselves, for our own happiness, for our own wish to be free of suffering, we can offer this as well for all others. Yeah, we can consider friends, family, people that come to mind very easily for us. And then expanding that out to our neighbors, to the city, the towns, the countries that we're in. We're a group that's joining from all over the world. There's an incredible power, truly, in our coming together. This is such an incredible offering to all other beings. So we can just expand our wish outwards to include all others. So just taking a moment to see who comes to mind for you. And, you know, there may be difficult people in your lives. Well, I'd be surprised if there wasn't. So don't start with the really difficult ones, you know. There are some relationships, some situations that can be just a little bit too much. So choose the ones that might bring some slight irritation, and allow them to be in the room. It may be people that we're connected with now. It may be events from our past. And then as we've brought our attention into the physical space that we're in, and again, reminding ourselves that we're offering this practice not just for our own sakes, but as representatives. We're here as representatives for all of the beings. That we may be happy. That we may be free from suffering. That we may experience joy in our lives, in our hearts. And that we may have the equanimity, the capacity to maintain balance, regardless of whether life is going smoothly or is difficult. And again, this can be in retrospect. We could reflect on maybe moments where we weren't so equanimous, but just knowing that it's all possible to be loving, to be kind, to be joyous, to be equanimous. So all of our meditation practice is a support to recognize, to be aware of how out of control our minds are. And just in recognizing that we can bring the mind back from wherever it's been distracted. And we can use in this practice the anchor of our body, our physical sensations, our very groundedness. So each time we notice that the mind has wandered, without judging, without criticism, we simply come back to notice whatever sensations may be in the body. It could be just the sense of gravity, the groundedness of our physical presence. There may be tingling, heat, coolness, neutral sensations. There may be some pain, pressure, just whatever's there, simply noticing it and just letting it be as it is. Not trying to change anything, just being with it as it is. So as you notice that the mind has wandered again, just coming back to just observing whatever physical sensations are there. And it may happen, depending on your circumstances, that sound may become, there may be some background sounds that suddenly take over. Or anything else that distracts us. It may be strong emotion. So if anything else really dominates, then we can bring our attention to that, resting our attention. And then as that dissipates, coming back to the physical sensations. And just bringing your attention back into the room will end the practice. So, it's very common, phenomenally common actually, that this judging mind, it's sort of on duty all the time. And so we do a practice and then we go, well, how was that? That was good, that was bad. We're constantly assessing. And there's a lovely quote from a teacher, Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche, who says, if you had a good meditation or a bad meditation, then you weren't meditating. Because it's not anything that we contrive. It's not anything that we have to create. It's not a state. Though again, it's really just noticing that that's generally how we tend to, we turn everything into we get lost in the experience, rather than just being aware of awareness itself, of the experiencer. Sorry, there was another quote I was yeah, good meditation, bad meditation, then you weren't meditating. Now I've got a moment of complete distraction. I don't know where I was going to go. So I'll jump to another one about distraction, which was Dzongsa Khyentse Rinpoche saying, and this is kind of mind-blowing actually, our main problem is that we are distracted. And the main solution is to cultivate mindfulness, to recognize our distraction. I mean, I would say my main problems are sickness, not getting what I want, getting what I don't want. And you know, all of these, like we go through our day and assess it based on, yeah, did I get what I wanted? Or did things not go my way? So the being lost in distraction, another way of saying it is being lost in hope and fear, being lost in attachment to things turning out a particular way, when really it is out of our control what happens, you know, the events of our life. We don't wake up in the morning and plan to have jealousy at 10 o'clock, plan to have a lunch in a restaurant that, you know, didn't turn out to be the way we wanted it. So all of this shows us that we're not in control of what happens to us. And if we do expect things to go our way, then we're lost in distraction. So what's called upon us in our practice is to essentially accepting the truth of suffering. Then what we can control is our response to it. But what's required of us to take that control is to first see that we're not in control, and to be okay with that. So even as we're sitting watching what's arising in the body, just being with it as it is, not changing it, not moving, not, you know, I'm in a meditation. I mean, yes, we sit upright. It's important for us to have the spine straight. But there's a lovely phrase, upright but not uptight. So, oh yeah, I have remembered the quote now. It was, so Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche, if you've had a good meditation or a bad meditation, then you weren't meditating. Meditating, as I've said earlier, it's becoming familiar with how things really are. Just observing it, not changing it. And there's a very powerful quote: not meditating and not distracted. Not meditating, not distracted, letting the mind rest in uncontrived ordinariness. This is a quote from Mingyur Rinpoche, who's one of the sons of Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche. So this is very advanced, actually, not meditating, not distracted, letting the mind rest in uncontrived ordinariness. The key to it is that we recognize it. We just recognize it. Letting it be as it is. You know, there's that gesture of like, oh, I'll hold a glass up. If I'm holding a glass up and I'm trying to get it, oh, now I'm spilling it on my computer. Not a good plan. Coming back from the computer. Yeah, so I'm trying to get it steady. Yeah, I'm trying to hold it so that it's steady. And this is the first part of our meditation practice, is for it to settle down, for it to calm down. But as long as I'm holding, then it'll always be moving. The thing is to just put it down, just let it be. Yeah. So this is our I'm drying the keyboard of the water. So yeah, that's the first part of our practice. It's just be with whatever is arising. So it's beyond saying that was good, that was bad. It's beyond making any kind of a judgment on the experience. Just noticing the experiences. There is a question here that's coming: how to manage the feeling of boredom. I tried to take my consciousness back to the breathing, presumably this means, you know, that the object of your attention, the anchor that you're using is the breath. And there are so many objects that we can use. We just focused on bodily sensations. So yeah, coming back to the breath, but the boredom, but boring, and keep coming back. You know, that's actually the practice, is the recognition that you're gone. And you might be lost in it for 10 minutes, 10 seconds, it doesn't matter. This is just, you're just noticing that that's what the mind does. The mind wants to be entertained. The mind, I mean, the word is the word that's often used to describe our uncontrolled mind is the monkey mind. It's just constantly, it's terrifyingly lost. I mean, when we really, again, sit with it and just notice it, it's like, oh my God, it's so out of control. But it's seeing it and just being okay with that. So the boredom is a very, very common response to what happens when we sit down to practice, because the mind wants to be entertained, and it's not going to be comfortable with the boring old breath. Yeah. So I mean, there's many things to do to support cutting through that inevitable habit. First of all, as I said, it's just seeing it, but there's also taking a break. You know, when we're doing our practice, it's very important to do it short times, many times. So even within a single session, there's a kind of a letting go that you can do, and then just come back. Like, don't build up this tension. And then at the end of it, you go, okay, that's great. I just meditated for 10 minutes or whatever. But, you know, maybe you were just getting more and more uptight. So if the boredom is becoming very dominant, then that can become the object of our attention. It's to just meet it with curiosity. How is the boredom showing up? You know, I can see with myself, and this is one of the value of doing it in a group, is that you've got the support of the group to stop you wandering off. Like, I might say, okay, I'll meditate for 15 minutes, but maybe after 5 minutes, oh, that's enough. I know I said 15, but five's good enough. And you're off, you're wandering. So I can feel this sort of, literally this rushing inside me, this energy movement that just wants me to go off, make a cup of tea, send a phone call, check what's happening on my phone. So when you become aware of that discomfort, and that habitual tendency to, it could be like with that rush of energy, or it could be a sinking dullness. These are generally the two, sort of excitation and dullness. The mind goes up or down. Again, it's just noticing. Like, when I feel that rush of energy, I just rest with it and be curious about it. What does it look like? How is it showing up? Where am I feeling it? Is there a tightness? Have my feet left the ground? Just paying attention to all of the different aspects of it, meeting that with a friendliness and an interest and a curiosity and a kindness. It's in that moment where you're willing, first of all, to notice it, and then just be with it for even a moment longer than you would usually take. You know, you could still, the energy can be strong enough to just, you're going to do it. You're going to reach out to the phone. But if you can just pause for a moment before you do that, that's a very, very interesting moment where you're starting to cut through that habit. That's where the freshness is. That's where the change will happen. Oh, what is Mahamudra? How do you attain that state of purity? Mahamudra is so that in the Tibetan Buddhism, I mean, essentially, in all of Buddhist teachings, I would say the core of it is about understanding the truth of how things are, the truth of our reality, the truth of who we are. And you have Mahamudra, Dzogchen, and Majjhimika. These are just three different methods of practice to have a direct understanding of this state of purity. How do you attain it? Well, all of these approaches are saying there's actually nothing to attain. We already are pure. Suzuki Roshi, I think, said, you are perfect, just as you are. And you could do with a little improvement. And there's no contradiction with this. It takes effort to become effortless. And Dzogchen, Mahamudra, the other, so Mahamudra and Dzogchen are both direct meditative approaches. The Mahamudra is a little bit more progressive. Dzogchen is more kind of leaping in directly into who we already are. It's profoundly simple, profoundly complicated, but genuinely, it is a reflection of who we already are. We already have this. We're just so lost in our drama, in our distraction, as I've said, the quote with Khyentse Rinpoche saying, like, we have no problems actually, but because we're lost in distraction, all of our problems are arising, lost in confusion, lost in not knowing, not recognizing our purity. It's there waiting for us. We just have to let go. So a very useful comparison is the sky, this space-like quality, unimpeded sky-like nature of our mind. It's already there. And we're just lost in the clouds, in the appearances, in the play of the mind. So, you know, if it's a very cloudy day and you're looking up at the sky, you don't see the vast expanse, but you know, if you're going to go up in an airplane, that you'll cut through that cloud and you'll see the sky in its purity. It's always there. The clouds don't pollute it. They're in the sky, but they're not they're not going to taint it. And again, we have many analogies like that, the lotus rising, you know, pure out of the mud. So Dzogchen, Mahamudra, all of these are approaches to support our direct recognition of these. They are wonderful teachings. They're very poetic, inspiring, direct instruction. And I'll leave it at that. Any other questions?
Hello,
Hello,
Venerable
Cindy.
Aileen. Hi.
See you.
Yeah, good to see you, Venerable. Um, Thank you for sharing the teaching with us. I think I'd like to say that sometimes one of the biggest challenges for me personally is dealing with uncertainty. And I know that life is uncertain, and I know that, but especially if there's an impending moment of anxiety, or maybe like something when we're waiting for something that is potentially unpleasant and we have to wait anyway, there's no other way to go about it, we have no choice, so I just try to be in the moment. And but in the back of my mind there is still this kind of tingling what is it, like lingering kind of anxiety and worry that keeps sort of nudging me somehow, even though we try to be in the moment. It's kind of there, you can feel it. And I know there's nothing we can do about it, we just have to, because there's nothing we can do, but it's there. I was wondering
Yeah.
if there's any kind of tips or practical strategies that you would advise us to adopt, perhaps? Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, I think this is I mean, I certainly relate to it, and I think, you know, it is kind of how we live our lives. Like I was saying earlier, we live between hope and fear, and hoping things will go our way, fearing that they won't. And then there's many scenarios where these habits are very deep. Like if you're going to the dentist, the hope and fear thing can, you know, it can escalate quite quickly. And I don't think there's like it's like there's nothing new happening. We're locked in this a very deep habit, I would say, of a sense of permanence, that that this is how it was the last time, this is how it's going to be now, and we're just in the grip of that inability to allow it to be any different. So I mean, for me, one of the again, I was saying, you know, short times, many times, like the important part of our practice, the formal practice, sitting on the cushion, is really just a preparation for us to then be able to take that out into our lives. And so it's very important that we could use, like throughout our day, just pausing for a moment, and becoming aware of like what's happening right now. Can I, or even asking the question, what else is true? Like if let's say it's the dentist and I'm anticipating, and I've just got this story of how it was before, and so therefore it's going to be exactly like that. I don't like it. I prefer it not to be happening. And you kind of like everything might be just sort of tense, and I might not even be breathing when I'm thinking of whatever the scenario is. It's like this inevitability. It's just going to be like this and nothing else is possible. So it can be just in that recognition that I'm that lost in my story, that I can just ask myself, or even doing this, it's like, oh yeah, I'm completely lost in the story and there it is. And then just asking yourself, it could be like, what else is true? What else is happening? It's not to deny whatever that story is that's playing out, but it's like allowing it to be expanded into a bigger space, of, well, I can hear music in the background. I can feel the wind against my face. I can feel the ground beneath my feet. So you're just putting it, well, first of all, bringing it back into the present, into what's, like if I'm anticipating the dentist, and then the question is, well, I'm not at the dentist right now. So it's bringing myself back into the body, back into my immediate surroundings. And these can be, as I said, very short micro moments of just coming back, coming back, coming back, and meeting it with the kindness, also meeting that that story with the kindness. There's a lovely phrase from Tsoknyi Rinpoche. He talks about like whatever those sensations are, whatever that story is, it is real for me, and it's not true. So the real, accepting it as real is respecting it, respecting that I am freaked out, respecting, you know, not go, oh, for goodness sake, you're a Buddhist practitioner, you should be able to get over that. And so it's just respecting whatever that voice is, whatever that that belief system is, because these are very deep. We just need to see all of these habits slowly, gently over time. Yeah, so that's one part of it. Does that help? Make sense?
Thank you, Venerable. Thank you so much. Yes.
Okay. Somebody's asked a question, a follow on from Mahamudra and attaining that state of purity. Will visualizing a yantra or Vajrayana deities help the realization? So these are tantric practice. Well, the practices of visualizing deities. An analogy that really works for me is, you know, in sports psychology, I mean, it's an accepted method to say you're training for the Olympics. It's an accepted method to visualize yourself crossing the finish line in first place, or standing on the podium and receiving your gold medal. I mean, this alone isn't going to get you, you know, you still have to cultivate all of the qualities, the physical qualities to achieve that goal. But that visualization is an integral part of cultivating that potential. So again, this comes back to, like, it's attaining that state of purity. You can only attain it because you are it. We are all potential Buddhas. Like an acorn is a potential oak tree. It's just, it's its essential nature. It needs the causes and conditions to support it, but in its essence, it doesn't need anything from outside. I know every analogy is limited. You can say, well, you know, it needs supportive causes and conditions, the seeds for that to ripen. But the visualization of ourselves as the deity would be like if you were, and I have no contemporary names here, but if I was, you know, training to be the best golfer, I might have an image of some golfers that I regard as, let's say, the Buddhas of golf. They are like, they have perfected golf. So I would have images of them on the wall, and I might visualize them as I'm out there practicing. So it's not that I'm just going, oh, you're so wonderful. You are, but I'm also paying attention to the details of your attributes so that I can develop them within myself. It helps to ripen them and to, so all of the deities, everything about them is to help ripen all of those qualities within ourself. Concentration on the breath is boring, I find, and I get easily distracted. Is there any concentration exercises that we can do that's not so boring, but helps us train our brain to improve concentration before developing the mindfulness of the breath? Yes, there are. So, I mean, this is one of the things, like we're talking about, as I've said, if we, using the analogy of monkey mind, our mind is like the most berserk entertainment system ever. It's like a remote control that's just gone crazy. It's hitting the button all the time, all the time, all the time, all the time. All these different channels, most of them really dull. I think TikTok is a very telling example of like a reflection of what our minds are kind of like anyway. And it is speeding up. It's getting more and more bang, 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 jumping, 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 jumping. So like tolerance, can we tolerate not being out of control? The answer generally is no. I want to be entertained all the time. So the first part of it is to just notice that that is true. And then, as I've said before too, short times, many times. So you can end the meditation while you're still having, while you're still okay with it. And that might be 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But they say, like, if you can finish the practice or even cut the practice in the middle of going, oh yeah, I'm actually enjoying meditation now. This is very good. Okay, finish it. Up, go. So that you stop getting either averse to it. I don't want to go back and meditate because it's boring, or I don't want to finish meditation because it's blissful. Both of them, boring, blissful. These are all just passing experiences. We just need to notice the experiencer, the experiences, without getting lost in them or needing them to be any particular way. So there are countless objects of meditation that we can use. Anything that's arising in our experience. It can be the body, it can be the breath, it can be sounds, it can be sights, physical sensations, anything that's happening. So, you could and it's useful to move through some different practices. It's a skillful means to keep yourself coming back, coming back, coming back, coming back. I mean, even in using the breath, you can use different techniques with, like, focusing on the air entering and leaving through the nostrils, focusing on physical sensations, might be the rise and fall of the chest, or the sensations of the breath in the abdomen, or counting. All of these are all different ways of, but what's happening is you're coming back to the present, coming back to the present, coming back to the present. You can't breathe in the past or the future. You're not changing the breath either as we're cultivating calm abiding. It's not about, you know, changing the natural rhythm of the breath. It's just noticing, again, letting go and just noticing what is there. So, yeah. And be with the boredom. Be interested in the boredom. This is crucial, actually. Whether it's boredom or physical pain or excitation, like when there's that discomfort, to just be curious about it, and to rest with it, not trying to fix it, not trying to antidote it, not exaggerating it, not being lost in it, not denying it, just resting in the spaciousness that allows it to come and go. The boredom comes and goes. Where is it coming and going from? Who is it that's being bored? Yeah. Again, this is just touching it, asking that question, who is it that's being bored? This is touching into, I mean, I've talked about shamatha in the sense of like wanting to settle the mind, but that's not the goal. The goal isn't to have a calm, quiet, peaceful, settled mind. It's to train the mind. That's only just the starting point, training the mind so that then it can go in and probe into the experience itself, to ask those questions. Who is it that is experiencing this boredom? Where is the person that is being bored? And that penetrative insight is really, this is where the real change happens. So calm, peaceful, irritated, all of that, none of that's the point of it. The point of it is to have that direct penetrative insight. Question from the room, Richard. I tend to overeat when I'm bored. Yep, that's causing health issues. Is there any solution? I'm 100% guilty of this as well. Me too. So again, this is the absolute intolerance for us to be okay with not being okay. I mean, I can remember, and I mean, I'm not beyond this, but it's just come to my mind now. And yeah, it definitely still happens for me. If somebody's saying something about me that I really don't like, and I'm very uncomfortable, and I can't get away from them in that moment, I'm already planning. And we all do this all the time. I'm planning, as soon as I get out of here, I'm going to have it. And I'm figuring out which chocolate or which this or which that, whatever our habit is, to get rid of that pain, to numb it. It's again, it's just about noticing it, and in that moment of noticing, bringing a fresh perspective to it. The first response has to be kindness to ourselves. Of course, I want to go off and have a fantastic, probably a Lindt, one of those round ones called, you know, and I can name the flavor that's particularly lovely. This is actually compassion for ourselves. I'm suffering and I want to alleviate the suffering. And I believe that the chocolate will do it. Or a nice movie later, or particular, brand of Earl Grey tea, or new pair of trainers. Countless, 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 countless efforts to alleviate our pain. But if we are brave enough and willing enough to just notice and then meet that, even with this, like a phrase of course, I want to have chocolate. I want to be free of pain. I want to be happy. And you could even start to talk to yourself, maybe not out loud in front of everybody else, but you can say to yourself, thank you so much for trying to help me. You know, the chocolate plan is a great plan, but I'm actually okay. But I appreciate your help. I appreciate you stepping in to say, let's get out of here and, you know, watch a really good movie. I'm okay. I can be with this discomfort. Now, some more questions coming in. I mean, I'm just saying these as you know, there's so many other techniques as well. Like, as I say, this relates to all of us. So when if overeating, say, is my issue, it's the comfort that I go to. And then you think, okay, there's so many other people that are in the same situation. So many, countless. So if I take a moment of just resting in that pain, the discomfort of not having that fix, I can take on that willingness to just be with it. I can do that on behalf of all others. If I can just be with it so that all others can be free of that pain. This is like a mother whose child is sick. You know, you would say, if I could take on the pain so they could be free of it, I would. Then you've still got the suffering, but you're doing something different with it. And Joseph Goldstein says, don't waste your suffering. Suffering's inevitable. Yeah, it's inevitable. But if we don't waste it, then we are willing to be with it and to be really familiar with how it's showing up in its raw, sticky unpleasantness. And again, we do this incrementally, little by little by little, slowly, patiently, kindly. We keep coming back to just being with whatever is showing up, moment by moment. We'll lose it, we come back. Lose it, come back. My friend told me today she feels so calm and peaceful and truly in the moment when she's painting. Would this be somewhat equivalent to sitting meditation? Another friend gets the same peace of mind from walking. Yeah, like really just being present. And losing that sense of the only challenge with this, I would say, is we can get very absorbed in our meditation practice. And there's, you know, there's a loveliness to that. Like if you're swimming and you're in the zone, you're in it. And there's a lot about that that's very relaxed, and you're feeling completely connected. But the danger would be that you're lost in that absorption, and you don't have that sharpness of penetrative insight is the word, vipassana meditation. Like Jetsunma actually speaks about, Jetsunma Tenzin Palmo, she says, you know, if you want to look at a cow in India sitting in the middle of a highway, completely chilled out and relaxed and just at ease, but not quite, you know, hang on, this, like, you might say that's a fine state to be in, but it doesn't have it's not cutting through. Yeah, so it's balancing these two. Again, it's not that we're aiming for peace or we're not trying to attain peace. We're not trying to attain calm. We are peaceful. We are calm. We're just trying to notice that that's who we really are. We might feel that more when we're connected to painting or to swimming or or to meditation. It can be anything. But again, that's a reliance upon something being a particular way. And the consequence suggested in that is, if this wasn't happening, I wouldn't have that experience. Yeah. I'm relying on causes and conditions to be a particular way, rather than just whatever causes and conditions are happening, to be present, resting in this spaciousness, even when there's turbulence and craziness and things are not going okay. Is it okay to dissociate from troublesome thoughts? I feel like I long for meditation when I have conflict with someone. Okay, dissociate from troublesome thoughts. Can I ask, so when you say you long for meditation, when you have conflict with someone, you mean like while it's happening, that could you explain it a little bit more?
Yeah, thank you for all your very good answers so far. Thank you. I was just wondering, I have noticed that when I have conflict, I want to get out of there.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I kind of want to feel at peace. And then I go and focus on my breathing or something. But it feels maybe it's what you said before, that I use it as something to calm myself, like I'm reliant on it. But
Right.
yeah.
Okay, thanks, Helen. I think, correct me if I'm off track on this. If I'm in if I'm in a situation where there's conflict and everything I'm being triggered, then it's sort of like trying to learn to drive when you're on the fast lane of a highway. The chances, it's really more about damage control. I mean, there's this idea of like, when you're with others, watch your body and speech. This is actually like, the morality is about, don't punch people, and sorry, that's a bit, yeah, don't punch them, don't hit out, but also watch your speech. Don't, first of all, do no harm if we can. So when we notice that it's just like, whoa, this is, whoa, just way out of control here. Shanti David talks about be like a log, like just try not to stir things up. And if we do stir things up, that's okay. The meditation practice afterwards could be that you sit with, like, bring that situation back to mind when you do have a stable, calm, quiet space where you can do that. Bring it back up. Reflect back on it without judging or criticizing, just noticing, okay, so when I was in conflict, how was it showing up? Was it jealousy? Was it fear? Was it anxiety? What was actually happening? We're lost in the story. He said that, she did this, we did this. And we're very quick to talk about the other person, very quick. And again, that's going on. And what else is happening? What's happening? Like, what was happening in me? Meet that again with a loving kindness. What was showing up for me? Yeah, but he said this has got, yeah, that was going on. And how was it showing up for me? So when we can sit with that afterwards, and this is very useful to do, doesn't matter if we lost it in the moment. Later we can reflect back and just be with it and be interested in what it all feels like, what physical sensations are associated with it, what thoughts, what emotions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Okay. How are we doing for time, Richard?
We've
Another
got 14 minutes left.
Okay. Oh, we should be meditating. Sorry.
I think that's our whole day.
So we'll do one quick more meditation. There's one other question. Yes, it's getting in the flow. I'm just wondering, if you do it long enough, would it help improve concentration? I can get into flow state doing a reasonably difficult Sudoku puzzle. Yeah, it is about being in the flow. If you do it long enough, would it help improve concentration? I suppose if you're asking yourself that question, You see, it's not about concentrating on any particular, well, maybe this, and you can correct me here. I would suggest it might be the case that like we all have particular skills, we all have particular areas where we're really, yeah, got it, I'm in there, I can do it. Maybe taking it back to what Atisha was saying about the real siddhis, the real accomplishments in our practice are about reducing our suffering, essentially, reducing our negative states of mind. So the concentration that comes with the flow is definitely productive. And you know, there are great skills that can be developed. So I suppose it's about seeing, like, is that showing up in other areas of our lives as well? If I'm doing the Sudoku puzzle and it's allowing my mind to be concentrated and focused, is that showing up in other activities in my life as well? And it could be. So it's about, but if I'm absorbed in the sense of, like, I'm doing the puzzle and I didn't even notice that my mother walked into the room or that the kettle was boiling and I should have turned it off. If there's things like that going on, so you're resting, but you're still attentive. You're still completely open to whatever else is arising around us. Yeah, we become carefree, but not careless. I mean, I know a lot of people who are phenomenally intelligent, but have no common sense. So it's a very wide, broad, open perspective. That's, if you think about somebody walking a tightrope, they're very balanced, they're very focused, but they're also, there's no tension, there's nothing lost. They're still very, it's that balance between, again, as I was saying earlier, upright but not uptight. It's loose and open and focused. So let's do a little, we've got, yeah, I should have said this at the beginning, that I'm fabulous at talking all the way through a meditation session. So we'll just do a quick practice. So again, just checking that you're sitting comfortably. Upright, but not uptight. So the spine is straight, and just doing a very quick scan through the body, allowing the muscles to relax. So just noticing areas of tension. And you know, if you can't loosen up the tension, then relax into that. Relax into being unrelaxed. But softening wherever you can. So going through a quick body scan from the top of the head, just noticing any tension that may be there in your forehead, around the eyes, the cheeks, the jaw, just loosening it as you can. The shoulders and chest. The arms and hands. Hips. Sitting bones. Just letting the earth hold us. And just making this wish for ourselves. May I be well. May I be happy. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be safe. And then expanding that thought out to others, to each of us in this group. May we be safe. May we be happy. May we be peaceful and at ease. And expanding it out further to our towns, our cities, our countries. Out of our compassionate, kind, loving nature, to be happy. To be free of suffering. To be peaceful and at ease. Sajjan Brahm says it's this beautiful phrase of kindfulness. So the essence of our mindfulness, the essence of our willing to be with our boredom, with our fears, with our hopes, the essence of this attention, of this willingness to be with it, is kindness. It is the only non-delusional response to whatever is happening within our own minds or reflected in our external world. So thank you for your practice. I just wanted to say too, that question about, since you were talking about, for example, that a friend gets peace of mind from walking and from painting and so on. These are also very important ways of, like for many of us sitting on our cushion, it can be just too challenging, too confronting. You can alternate it with walking meditation or swimming, or even, you know, more aerobic exercises can be very important and useful to deal with the phenomenal energy that's there, that we really are out of control with. So anything that helps us to come back into our bodies, to really become aware of this body. So much of our time is sort of lost up in this intellectual space. So, you know, there are many traditions that have developed practices like yoga, tai chi. All of these are all very important instruments as preliminary preparation for the work of then sitting down and being with our minds. So again, the boredom, the restlessness, the anxieties, all of these, we can work with them through this physical exercise as well. So it's just noticing what we're doing when we're doing it. So if we're walking, noticing that we are walking. If we are swimming, noticing, feeling, just being aware of the sensations as they're arising and passing, arising and passing. Yeah. So not lost in it, but aware of it as it's happening. So thank you all for your practice. Thank you, Richard. And it's really fabulous that you have this community happening. I mean, we really do need each other as spiritual friends to do this difficult work, difficult and most important, but really don't take it on as another thing to do. Rest into it, relax into it. You know, be very, give yourself a pat in the back for trying to do this at all. It's really, we should show up with a lot of joy to it. Yeah.
Thank you, Venerable. My partner who couldn't be here, Sophia, who normally hosts these sessions, she's currently studying on the Mingyur Rinpoche's meditation teacher program.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, and she just really wanted to say hi to you from her. And yeah,
Send her
she's
my
really
love.
glad
Yeah.
that you got to come here and give the talk. So she really wanted to be here but couldn't be here tonight.
Thank you so much again. Oh, sorry, Venerable. Oh, yeah, sorry, Richard. I was just going to say thank you again, Venerable Aileen. I just wanted to make a quick announcement about next week's talk. So on Wednesday, so Monday we have Bhante Sujato, who is going to give an interesting talk on, I can't remember, but hang on, sorry. I think it's called On Following and Leading. So it's going to be interesting. That's Monday, same time from 7 to 8:30. But if you prefer to attend in person, it's going to be in Bankstown, so not Parramatta. But then on Wednesday night, same time in Parramatta, from 7 to 8:30, we're going to have Venerable Chokyi, Venerable Thubten Chotso, who is going to lead a meditation on the topic of the divine abode of immeasurable joy. So just a brief blurb. The joy is a powerful positive state of mind that lifts us up out of the sinkhole of depression and destructive negative self-talk. So joy lets us celebrate our amazing successes and delight in the virtues of others, enhancing happiness, resilience, connection, and kindness. So that's going to be next Wednesday's session, led by Venerable Chokyi. And just to give you a brief piece of information about what's coming up in November, it's still a long way away, but I just wanted to let you know that Metta Center is celebrating its 10th anniversary. So we're going to have a big conference on the 8th of November, followed by Mahadana the following Sunday. The details are going to be revealed a bit later on. But we're going to offer dana to monastics in Australia on the 15th of November. But on the 8th of November, we have a conference and we have a couple of speakers that have confirmed, including Venerable Matthew Ricard and Venerable Robina Courtin will also be present. Joan Halifax Roshi is going to be one of the speakers, but she's going to do it via Zoom. Bhante Sujato and a few other people as well. And I was wondering if Venerable Aileen might be present too. So I was talking to her about this as well, Venerable. Yeah, so that's all.
Yeah, please stay in touch with me about it. It sounds fabulous.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's all I wanted to say for now. Handing over to you, Richard and Venerable. Thank you.
Maybe we can send. There was a lot of information and amazing events all coming up. So I've just put a link there in the chat. You can have a look at all the different events coming up. One event that's not in there that's coming up in May is Ajahn Yul. So Ajahn Yul studied under Longpo Gangha under the Theravada tradition, and this is the first time he's coming to Australia. So he'll be coming to both Sydney and Melbourne for about 2 weeks. Sorry, Sydney for 2.5 weeks, and then Melbourne for another week and a bit. And he's running a 4-day retreat at Vajrasattva from 22nd of May to the 25th, which is a Sunday. So Thursday to Sunday, and that'll be on the website soon. And to stay up to date with all the different events that we have, you can sign up for our newsletter instead of, getting all the information verbally. That's it from me. Venerable, I know you did a mini dedication of merits towards the end of your guided meditation, but would you like to do one? It's up to you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so this is good in the beginning, good in the middle, good in the end, sealing everything that we have done so that it benefits. It's like adding drops of water to the ocean. So just as we have come together for this period of time, offering our practice, to offering our willingness to cultivate our compassion and wisdom and loving kindness, all of our innate qualities, we dedicate all of that, it may become the cause for us to very quickly reach our potential, and that in doing so that we may lead all others into that enlightened state as well, to walk each other home. That's what we're doing, and may we quickly walk each other home so that we can be free of suffering. Thank you.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Venerable, and thank you everyone for your lovely questions. And Venerable, again, thank you for your time and jumping on such short notice. Really amazing talk, and thank you so much everyone for attending as well. That's it for tonight.
Take
Bye-bye,
care, all of you.
everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Venerable. Thanks, Richard. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
Bye.